it's your example of that dissonant question at the border.
Right.
Right. That's what they're asking, a question that's not congruent with where your mind is, specifically because they want to see how your mind deals with that incongruency. That's essentially what's happening. And they do the same thing during a polygraph test. Polygraph test, truth detector tests are not actually designed to identify if you're telling the truth. They're designed to spark a reaction from a dissonant question that creates a moment of sensitivity. And then what the polygrapher is looking for is that sensitivity. Same thing that your Border Patrol agent was looking for at the border, same thing that they look for whenever you cross through a border at the airport. They're asking a dissonant question to see how you respond to the dissonance. Now, what's fascinating is our assumption is if you're rattled, that's suspicious, when in fact it's the opposite. They are trained to look for a rattled response because it's a dissonant question. It's like me looking at you right now and being like, would you rather have jelly on your French fries or would you rather have guacamole on your French fries? You're kind of like, what? Like that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
So that is the normal response.
That is the normal response.
Yeah, yes.
So what ends up happening is you've heard of a bell curve, right? So there's a bell curve of autonomic responses, the way that the body responds to stress. And a dissonant question is a form of stress, a controlled form of stress. There's a bell curve of responses, which means that the fat part of the bell curve is what everybody's expecting. But that fat part of the bell curve still has two sides. So there's the side of the bell curve where people are really rattled, where they're like, what, sell drugs? Drugs? I don't even know what to say, right? Yeah. That is a typical
So that would be a normal response, yeah.
But then there's also a side of that where people are just like, none.
And just so cool.
Because it's normal. And that's part of the bell curve.
Interesting.
It's the two extremes on the bell curve.
So they're looking for both.
So they're looking for both sides, but they're looking for that rare response, which is a response that is effort driven, right? The true flag when someone's lying to you, the true flag when someone's being dishonest is the effort that they have to put into the response. If they don't put much effort into the response, if it's timely, if there's eye contact, if it's almost immediate, then you know that that's truly them responding without any sort of logical processing involved.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they freak out or whether they seem cool as a cucumber. When it looks like they have to put effort into it, then that's how you know you've got something interesting going on. When the person pauses and considers their answer, or when they look away from you, or when they give you a few too many words, or when their body doesn't match with their pace, so they're moving their hands, but they're talking very, very comfortably. Right? Those are the kind of signals that you're dealing with somebody who's putting effort into their response.
Yeah.
So that's what you're trained to look for. Our training, to your point, our training for how to combat that is to first identify what is our natural response. So when you're crossing a border in alias, you're saying you're French, you're not French. You're saying your name is Jacques, you're not Jacques. You're saying you're 50, you're not 50. You're saying you're here for tourism, you're not fucking there for tourism. Right? Your job and the reason you go through so much training is to identify what is your natural response to questioning.
Yeah.
Are you naturally a nervous person? Are you naturally a calm person? Are you naturally a talker? Are you naturally like tight-lipped? And then as you understand what your natural response is, then you train yourself for that natural response. Because to the observer, to the Border Patrol agent or the interrogator or the polygrapher, to whoever the opponent is, they're looking for a derivation from your norm. So if you can just practice your norm, you can be Jacques the Nervous Nelly.
Yeah. That's so interesting. It also reminds me of poker as well, because in poker you're looking for tells, which are derivations from the norm.
Yes.
And I understand the fundamental principles and guiding outlines for poker, but for whatever reason, playing poker, even if the stakes are lower than the stakes that I wager on my life and my business and whatever, even if it's like a seemingly meaningless amount, if I got a good hand, like I just feel differently and I know I feel different. And so I'm not like if I get with like good poker, but I get crushed, cause I'm not good at that. But then you watch like the World Series of Poker and people, they just practice being the same no matter what, the way they go all in or the way they don't, or they're in their norm and they create this kind of pattern of how they are, which then allows them to operate in a way. And I suppose it's the same way for an agent.
It's very similar for us and for professional athletes as well.
Yeah.
So what I would argue is that the difference between poker and professional athletics and the federal government with its tier 1 and its elite intelligence operators is that everything government-wise has an unlimited budget. So the training that we're given, the ability for us to practice, for us to fine-tune and process our skills, it far surpasses what you see in professional sports because of that unlimited budget over time and the fact that, you've got 20-year careerists who are training 10-year mid-careers who are training 2-year new recruits, and it's just cultivated, which is not something that exists in professional athletics. So your poker example is a great example of people, what we call whitewashing. They're removing their emotional response in order to create a very stable foundation. And then that's what they practice. They practice the whitewash. They wear crazy shit to distract each other, to try to get each other off of their whitewash.
Right.
But if everybody could just show up in a t-shirt and shorts, it would be the most boring thing in the world because you'd have, 8, 10, 12 people around a table all looking the same, acting the same, doing the same thing. Right. That's a whitewash. Professional athletes, they're terrified every day of when they're rattled.
Yeah.
Because their livelihood is tied to their ability to deliver performance at certain moments, on certain days, at certain times, for a limited period of time, and then they want to renew their contract at the end, and at any given time, their contract can be taken away from them. So they're always afraid of being rattled. So for them, it's like the exact opposite. They're trained and optimized and mentally tuned so that they can overcome when they start to feel the anxiety, when they start to feel the fear. They're given all these tools to try to combat it. They never just accept it. They always combat it. The exact opposite of the whitewash, where they just remove it altogether and then they just become something new. Whereas your operators, your Navy SEALs, your Delta operators, your CIA operators, your undercover narcs for the drug enforcement agency, we're taught that you're a natural way, and that natural way is sustainable if you adhere to your natural process.
Yeah.
Because you can do that for weeks, months, years. What happens is if you put something unnatural in place, you're going to run out of energy. And when you run out of energy, the whole operation comes falling down. So we're taught to find a way to do what's natural for us. It's natural to shut down and clam up, or it's natural to get talkative. It's natural to get nervous, but whatever is natural for you,
it's consistent.
Let's tune it to make it very consistent, no matter what name you're saying you're under or what task you're saying you're there to do.
Yeah.
So fresh on